There's a smaller tax package that I want to spend some time on because I've been pretty intimately involved with it, and I've got kind of one of the things I've been trying to do since I got to Topeka in there. And right now it's still alive. It's in a bill called Senate Bill 8, and it's about disabled veterans property tax relief. At the beginning of the year, I filed a bill, actually before the beginning of the year, I filed a bill to provide disabled veterans with property tax relief. And it was on a sliding scale. If you were 30% disabled, you got 60% tax relief, and then it graduated at 10% intervals. So if you were 70% disabled or greater, or if you were 65, you got 100% tax relief. And your surviving spouse, when you passed, would get whatever you were qualified to when you passed. So, your spouse wouldn't lose their house after after the veteran passed. We got that through the House with 123 to 1 vote, but then we ran into trouble in the Senate. And we ran into trouble in a couple ways, and that's what I wanted to talk about. That's why I wanted to talk about it. When you talk to the county commissioners about property tax, they say, well, you need to talk to the state. We're just doing what the state tells us to do, so you're going to have to talk to the state. And then when we try to do something at the State House, they lobby us not to, because that's where they get all their money to fund all the stuff that they want to do here in the county. And so they actively lobbied. I got a call from one of the countywide elected officers, but the county commissioners called over to the Senate and talked to several senators, said, we don't want this because it's going to be this huge hit. And they came up with this ridiculously large number, something like 2 million, because they were counting all the veterans on post that don't have disability ratings and don't own houses. Most of them rent, either on post or off post. And so it was a ridiculously large number, but they were trying to use that to scare people who weren't disabled veterans, saying, look, we're going to give this break to disabled veterans, and we're going to hit you with that bill. And I think frankly, I just think it's incredibly disingenuous that they say that they want us to fix the problem, but then when we try to do something to fix the problem, they lobby against it. I'm very disappointed. But because they did that, we had to find a different way. We had to find some kind of compromise in order to get disabled veterans tax relief. And I think it's really important to do that, not just because disabled veterans, they sacrifice their bodies to protect us. They're very much deserving of property tax relief, but it's also good for Leavenworth, and it's also good for Kansas. We've got Fort Leavenworth here, we've got Fort Riley down the road in Geary and Riley County, we've got McConnell down in McConnell Air Force Base down in Sedgwick. Thousands of soldiers and airmen separate from those installations every year. And they've got great health care, right, because they've got a disability rating, and very little of their care actually happens at VA hospitals. It happens in the civilian health system, because they get referred to civilian health care providers. With that great insurance, it shores up our entire health care system. A lot of them have degrees, a lot of them have advanced degrees. They're young enough that they still enter the workforce. We've got a problem where we don't have enough workers to work in all the jobs. We've got 2.5 jobs for every worker in Kansas who's actually working. We've also got a big workforce participation problem, but for every worker who's working, we got 2.5 jobs. So we don't have enough workers. They come with spouses, they come with kids. These are the people we want to stay in Kansas, to help grow Kansas, help grow our state. Our population growth was stagnant last year, and because the last 10 years, and we are just on the edge of losing another congressperson, losing another voice in Washington, D.C. So we need these folks to stay, and anything we can do to incentivize folks to stay, we should be trying to do. So what did we get? Because the county was lobbying against property tax relief, so we had to find some compromise. So there's a program in Kansas. It's called the Homestead Act, and it provides some tax relief for disabled veterans and for seniors. And it had a income cap on it of $50,000, so you had to make $50,000 or less, and your house, as of last year, because we got it expanded last year, had to be under $350,000 valuation, right? Almost nobody qualified for it. Because if you had enough money to own a house, you were probably making more than $50,000 between like your Social Security and whatever pension or retirement you had, and so hardly anybody qualified for it. And so what we did in this compromise between the House and the Senate is we expanded that. So for disabled veterans, there's no longer an income limit. No matter how much you make, you qualify for property tax relief. And then the second thing that they did is for seniors, they moved the number from 50,000 to 80,000 for max income, and they're not going to count your Social Security. So that's going to expand the eligibility for a lot of folks. The thing that I was hoping I could get taken off there that I wasn't able to get taken off there is right now the valuations are capped at $500,000. So your house has to be valued by the assessor at $500,000 or less, which was not. Here in Leavenworth, most people are still going to qualify for it, but down in like Johnson County, down in Sedgwick, that's going to exclude a lot of veterans, and a lot of veterans are going to go off to Missouri or Oklahoma or Texas instead, where they qualify for the full benefit. So that bill that got stuck into Senate Bill 8, and it passed out of both houses and is on the governor's desk awaiting signature. On 2036, we have passed, that's the Disabled Veterans Tax Relief bill that we got through the House. That's still alive. Right? It's a biennium, so there's no reason next year that Senator Tyson, the chair of the tax committee, can't take that up in her committee and pass it through the Senate, and then we just send it to the governor as a standalone bill. There's no reason we can't do that except getting the Senate to do that. And so that idea is still out there. So even if they override, or if she vetoes our compromise, that we still have something that we can work on. So, yes, sir.
Does Senator Tyson understand the actual tax relief for veterans, or is she still throwing out spewing stuff that she has no idea what she's doing?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
She came back and said, "Oh, it's there. All you have to do is fill out the form." I said, "No. I'm talking about a tax relief based upon your disability, not on your income."
Yeah.
Well, that does that, and I said, "I beg your pardon, ma'am.
Yeah.
It does not do that. You need to read what you're spewing and understand what it is you're saying before you tell me as a voter in this state that that's what it is."
Yeah.
And she came back and actually called back about an hour or two later.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So I don't know that people out there that don't understand what they're talking about.
So some of these issues, no, I appreciate the question. I appreciate the question. I can't speak to why she's dug in on this. I have the greatest respect for Karen Tyson. I endorsed her for state treasurer. Since I've got in politics, I've had a great relationship with her. I do not understand why she's dug in on this, but I would say in general, we have a lot of disabled veterans in Leavenworth. You have a lot of disabled veterans in Geary County, and Geary County supports it. They know they're going to lose money, but they know they're going to get money when all those new disabled veterans stay in Geary County. So they're for it. I do not. But when you are talking to representatives and senators that don't have a lot of disabled veterans in their district, you're talking to senators and representatives that don't have any corrections officers or a prison in their district, it's really hard to get these things because they don't even know anybody that they can ask, what's it like, having to wake up every morning with this disability or that disability, or having to, not watch certain things, or be careful what you talk about because you might trigger the PTSD, they don't know anybody like that. And so it's very abstract to them. So I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if she's got some, what she's been kind of moving through explanations. At first it was, well, your county opposes it, and then it was, well, I said I want it, and the House said they didn't. Well, I got a video that says different. So I don't know. And, you know, I'm willing to offer the olive branch. Let's start over. We've got House Bill 2036. It's out there. It's alive. Let's pick it up in the next session. Let's get it done for disabled veterans. I don't understand why we're having an argument about this. I think it's like it makes eminent good sense. But
She was screaming, not
Yeah.
saying good things.
yeah, yeah, she's mad at me. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Well, in June in my town hall, Karen Tyson's going to be speaking, so if anybody wants to address this with her, she will.
Yeah, that's the Republican Party Town Hall, the first Monday of June. I encourage people to show up and ask her. Yeah, I encourage people to
She
show.
wants to come and clear the record, and I hope that she does.
Yep, yep. I like Karen. We had a great relationship before this. I'm willing to start over, and because it's not about me, it's not about her. It's about disabled veterans, and it's about what's best for Kansas and for Leavenworth. And so I'll work with anybody, either side of the aisle. Yeah. Any other